afternoon, friends. I'm Gina from Gina K Designs, and it's great to see all of you coming in from all around the world. Today we're going to have some fun because we're going to be playing with background stamps, and I'm going to show you, first of all, how to get a good impression with a background stamp, because I know that's a struggle out there, and I've seen some conversations in our Facebook group about that. And I'm also going to show you a couple of fun techniques that you can do with your background stamps, and I'm going to show you one that you're not going to want to miss. This is a really good one, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But before we get started, let's say hello to Tom. Hey, Tom. There
Happy
you are.
afternoon,
Gosh,
everybody.
I'm a little rained on today.
Yes? Yeah, first rain in a while here.
I know, right? How are you?
I'm better than horrible, as usual.
Well, it is great to see you. Do you have a word of the day planned?
I do.
Yeah, we didn't
Yes.
talk about that.
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. That's always so exciting and fun for everybody. Look, you and I both look a little autumny today.
Yeah, well, it feels really autumny out there with rainy and yeah, I don't know how we end up matching all this time, but
I don't know, you usually just walk in and it's like, oh, that works.
yeah, it's pretty cool. We've had a good run last couple.
We've had a great run. So are you excited for these techniques? I showed a couple of these techniques at a class that I taught earlier in the fall, and I think you remember that class, Tom. You were at the controls.
Yeah, I like backgrounds in general.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, it's kind of like a simpler thing to focus on.
Definitely.
Like just working on backgrounds.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes when you don't have any mojo, just making a bunch of backgrounds is a good thing to do.
Very cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get started because I've got a few things to show you today. So I want to show you the stamp sets that I'm going to be working with. I'm going to be using the Beautiful Patterns background stamp, and this is one that was recently released. And I'm just going to back out just a little bit here. And then I'm also going to be using this stamp set. This is the Beautiful Day stamp set. This is another great silhouette stamp set. And you guys know I love my silhouette stamps. There's a lot of different ways to use this. And then I am going to be using some other background stamps, I think, just to kind of give you some tips and tricks. This is one of my favorites. I think it's called Sweater Weather. Love this one. I don't know the names because I didn't put this away last time, but correctly. But this is a great stamp set for the upcoming winter season. Also, this delicate snowflake background is a great one. So I'm going to just show you how easy it is to stamp these. It's snowing in Minnesota. Oh my gosh, don't tell me that. I don't want to hear that. I'm too close to Minnesota. I'm not ready. It was 75 yesterday here in Milwaukee, so I'm not ready. And then I'm going to show you, this is the Flowing Floral stamp set. This one is out of stock, and it's been out of stock for a while because there's a problem with the artwork, so we're trying to get that worked out so we can get it back in stock. But I'm only bringing this one out because it's got a solid flower, and I forgot to look, and this one was just real close to me, so I thought I would just grab it. But we've got so many florals like this in our collection, and Lisa has a lot in her collection that are solid florals that you can use as well for this technique. So I just grabbed this one, but we can use any of them really. Anything that's a silhouette stamp we're going to be playing with today. Okay, so and a big shout out to Brianne Loveland. Thank you, Brianne. Brianne is joining us once again. She's been popping in on my lives and helping link products because I know a lot of you are, you want to know where something is or you want to read more about it, and she's been making it so much easier for everybody. So thank you so much, Brianne, and it's great to see you. So let's just start with this background stamp here, the Sweater Weather. So when I use a big background stamp like that, like this, Sweather, yeah, Sweather. When I use a big background stamp like this, I generally don't take this piece off. This is the index sheet that has the picture on it. I just leave it on there. Now, I know that a lot of people try to use these stamps in their MISTI, and you definitely can do that. But I find that even using it in the Misty, and I'll use it in the Misty just to show you, I find that I don't get a great result when I use it in the Misty. These stamps are so big that it is really hard to get enough pressure on them. So I will be taking this index sheet off. I rarely do this, but maybe we'll use this one for my other technique, so it'll be okay. I just normally just leave it on. They're already liking your word there, Tom. Sweather. So I know Tom always comes up with a word of the day, even when it's not the word of the day.
Word of the minute.
Word of the minute, yeah. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put a little bit of tape on the back of this because this is a very big stamp, and I'm going to just tape it down on my Misty mouse pad, but you might just have the black mouse pad or the black pad. That's totally fine. And then I'm going to take this background stamp and put it over this piece of cardstock and pick it up, and then I'm going to ink it up. So I'm going to ink it up with, I'll use a gray. I like a couple colors I love with background stamps are Kraft. I love Soft Stone. And also, when you want to darken it up a little bit, Stormy Sky. I kind of like these neutrals for backgrounds, but so let's go ahead. I'll just use the darker gray so that we can really see it, okay? I don't know where it's snowing. I just saw somebody say it's snowing in Minnesota, and I just had a little panic attack. So what you're going to do is you're going to ink up the stamp really well. You want to make sure that it's nice and inky and even. Some people will use a brayer to ink up the stamp, but that's what you could do that for sure. I just like to really hit it hard with the ink pad and make sure that it's covered pretty well. And then what some people do is they stamp it, and they ink it, and they put pressure on it, and then it looks terrible, right? It still looks terrible. And then people will call customer service and say, I have a defective stamp. It's not a defective stamp. It's because of the way that you're using it. You could go back and you could try to put pressure in there and stuff, and it's helping a little bit, really try to get the pressure in there. But I just want to show you that this way of doing it is difficult, and I don't like to do it this way. The way I like to do it is I like to lay the stamp on its back, and I keep the clear sheet from the stamp. Now I'm going to clean this here because we don't even need to ink it up that much. So let me clean the stamp, make sure I get all the ink off of there. What I like to do, and you want to make sure that it's not wet, because if it's wet, the ink will kind of pool up on the stamp because it is a dye-based ink. So what I like to do is I like to ink up the stamp real well. I don't necessarily need to ink up the whole thing because I'm only using this size piece of cardstock, and I'm going to cut it down anyway with a die, but I want to at least get good coverage where I'm going to use it. Okay. And then once I get it nice and inky, I take my cardstock and I lay it right down on the stamp. Then I take that clear sheet and put it on top, and then I gently rub over the entire surface of this stamp, of the back of this cardstock. Okay, you see how I'm just like making contact with every little bit of that paper. And I'm not getting my fingers dirty because I have that clear sheet on top. And if you don't want to use the clear sheet, you can use a piece of cardstock.
Georgina would like to know how you keep your tidy towel wet.
I just rinse it under water and squeeze it out so it's not dripping wet before I go live. And then I rinse it when I'm done. And every once in a while I throw it in the wash to just clean it up and freshen it up. All right, so now I'm going to pull this off here. And then I'm going to pull this piece of cardstock off. And you can see I've got a beautifully stamped image. way nicer than this one, right? And I didn't have to put a ton of pressure on it. I didn't have to hurt my wrist. I didn't have to do CPR or anything. I didn't have to stand on it. Because these background stamps, they're so big. They've got so much surface area that it's just hard to know if you've made contact with every part of it when you're stamping it this way. But when you put the cardstock on top and you know you're rubbing your finger over and you're pressing that cardstock up against the stamp, you know you've hit every single little area. The Chucky tool works, but it doesn't work as well as this. I'm sorry, this is the way to do it. Now, you know, I say that and there's going to be people saying, well, I don't have any problem. That's great. If you don't have any problem, that's awesome. I just do. Maybe I'm not strong enough, you know. I don't eat my Wheaties. I don't lift weights. I don't do the things I need to do to be strong enough. I have arthritis in my thumbs and I have carpal tunnel in my wrists. So I'm kind of like a weakling. And it's a lot of work to try to get enough pressure. So that is an easy way to make sure that you get great contact. And you can see, I mean, it didn't miss anything there, right? So I wanted to do this right away in the front of this video so that anybody who is struggling in our group, our Facebook group, when they say, my background stamp, look at the terrible impression I'm getting. I want them to be able to see the difference, but it's totally a game changer. And you don't have to take this sheet off, and I'll do another one. I mean, you don't have to use the MISTI at all. So let me pull this stamp off, okay? And then, let me put this over here because I don't want to lose it. But you know, that really, you just lay it on its back and you do the same thing that I did. Now, if you're worried about it moving around, because you know, if it's on here, it's a little slippery. If you are worried about that, then go ahead and remove the panel because it's sticky and it's going to stick to the door of your MISTI, or it'll stick to your mouse pad, or it'll even stick to your desk. But that is a huge, for me, it's a wrist saver. It's a thumb saver because of my issues, you know, that I have with my hands and being kind of a weakling. And, you know, even if I was lifting weights, I don't think my hands would be any stronger. I really don't. So for me, it's like, it's easy to do it that way. All right, so let's get the new stamp set in the mix here, wherever I put it. Here it is. So this is the one that I've seen a couple of people say, oh, you know, I'm having trouble stamping it. So for this one, I'm not going to take that back sheet off. I am going to just take this sheet off. There we go. Okay. I was pulling it the wrong way. Okay, I do want to clean it first because knowing me, I used it and didn't clean it last time. You can see it is a little bit stained. But a lot of people were asking how to use this stamp because it's 4 different patterns. Well, this stamp looks so cute stamped in all 4 different patterns. I'm going to just peel this back and then lay it flat again because I think I did try to peel it off and I curled it a bit. So I'll use the Kraft ink for this one this time so you can see it a little better. With these big stamps, it is important too that you do prime them just a little bit. So if it's the first time using a stamp, you may just want to rub your thumb over the different impressions just to get rid of any manufacturing residue. And the best way to know if that's working is you can see it a little bit more clearly in a clear stamp. So in a clear stamp, I'm going to try to find one maybe that I haven't used in this set yet. That's going to be hard, but let me see if I can find one. I don't think I've used this little one. Maybe I have, but can you see how, I don't even know if you could see this, but you could see how clear, when you take a clear stamp off of the sheet for the first time, you can see how absolutely clear it is. I wonder if I can zoom in on this. Maybe I have a brand new stamp that I've never used. Let me just look real quick. Give me one sec. I use my stamps, so I don't know if I have one that I didn't use, but no, I used all these. Okay, so, all right, I'm a little close here. You could see that little bit of a shine there, right? So what you want to do is you want to take your thumb and you want to rub over it until it gets dull. When it gets dull looking, I don't know if this is going to translate well, but can you see it's got a little bit of like a dullness to it that it didn't have before? Probably not. It's probably not showing up well. But it'll get like cloudy. I guess that's the best way to say it. Can you see it kind of, it's more cloudy now than it was before? So that's one way to get that manufacturing residue off there, because the manufacturing residue is what causes your ink to bead up on it and not get a good impression. The other thing that you can do if you're struggling to get a good impression with a background stamp or any stamp is to take something like either Gina K Designs embossing and watermark ink or Versamark ink, either one. And it's a sticky ink, so you can ink it up with a sticky ink and then, you know, take a piece of cardstock, or here's a Post-it note, and just, you know, stamp it a couple times. And that's going to actually put a little bit of a stickiness to your stamp, and it's going to make it grab the ink a little bit better. So now when you do ink up a stamp, let me try this ink here. When you do ink it up, I don't know if it's going to stamp well on here, but it still looks kind of beady, but it could be my cardstock, and it could be that there's still residue on there. So if that's the case, take your tidy towel and really clean it off. And we'll see if that's a little bit better. I really should stamp on a piece of cardstock. Where's that other one? Let me use this icky one here. It's getting better. You just really have to stamp a bunch of times with it to really get the stamp to get darker and darker. And of course, there's always the option of putting it on your MISTI and just stamping it more than once. But the stamps over time will get more seasoned. I feel like these are getting darker than the original one as the residue starts to come off. But stamps are notorious for being a little bit finicky when it comes to pulling them right off the package and using them right out of the package. Now also, sometimes inks are a little bit different. Different color inks actually have different properties in them based on the pigments that are used. So you might find that certain colors work better with solid stamps than other colors. So let's take that same stamp off of here, because I believe one of the ones that always works really well is black. So we'll just take black. And I'm so glad black is one of the colors that works well, because black is what we like to stamp these big silhouette stamps with. And you can see that's pretty good. You can see it's getting more and more solid as I stamp. So the more you stamp with it, the more it's going to work better. So before you decide that you have a defective stamp, remember that the manufacturing residue, and I've watched these stamps get manufactured many times. Basically, after they're manufactured, they get pressure washed. But that pressure wash can't do what your finger can do, where you're actually rubbing the residue off. Okay, so let's move to the next one. Now, I'm going to use some Kraft ink for this, and I'm going to use a quarter sheet of cardstock. Now, I love this background stamp. I think it's a really fun one just to use as it is. Now, I know my friend Jennifer McGuire actually cut this stamp into 4. She's very brave like that. She likes to cut her stamps, and she doesn't have a problem with that. And you can do that if you want to do that. I actually like the stamp the way it is, to use it as a 4-up kind of stamp. So I'm getting all of that on there. And then I'm going to lay this lay this on here. And I'm going to use my index sheet. Oh, where did that go? Here it is. I'm going to use the index sheet from the stamp and put it on there. And then I'm going to rub all over the surface again. Now, this was one of those stamps that I did see in our group where somebody was struggling because they were trying to stamp it in the MISTI and they couldn't get a complete impression. And I tried to explain this, but it's very hard to explain things in writing. It's always easier to just watch somebody do it and then say, okay, I'm going to try that.
So is using an eraser to remove the residue not a good idea?
Oh, you can use an eraser to remove the residue. Just please don't use a nail file. I see people say that. Oh, just use an emery board or like a nail block. One of these kind of things that you find in the, this is an Olive and June one, but you know, don't do that because you'll put scratch marks in your stamps and they'll never stamp smoothly.
Even with an eraser, you probably want to take it slow.
If you use an eraser, as long as it's a rubber eraser, don't use a mono sand eraser because that will scratch your image. Okay, so let's peel that off and you can see that design looks great. See how it got everything? I do have a goober there. I can see the goober right on there, but we're not going to worry about that. You can see how everything's stamped really nicely. So now let's go on to our next technique that I want to show you with background stamps. I just wanted to get this technique in there because I really do think that this will help you a lot when it comes to working with your stamps. So the next technique I want to show you is one that I absolutely love, and there's two different ways to do it. It's called the kissing technique. And a background stamp like this is great for the kissing technique because you have 4 different patterns then you can use. Yeah, there is a goober on there. I need to fix that. I need to pull that off. But I'm pretty happy with these two backgrounds. I think that they're looking pretty darn good. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you 2 different ways that you can use this stamp to do the kissing technique. And this is where we're going to bring in our other set, the Beautiful Day. So this is called Beautiful Day. And this stamp is called Beautiful Patterns. They were designed to work together for a class that I taught for Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine. I did their Crop and Create class in the fall, and some of these techniques I taught at that class. They're not new techniques. I've taught them on my YouTube channel before, but I think the thing about us as crafters is we consume so much content from all of the amazing YouTubers that are out there that it's easy for us to forget, right? I forget techniques all the time, and I teach them. Sometimes I go back and watch my old videos to figure out what I can teach. So I want to show you a technique we'll use this one right here. This is the flowers, and this is the stem. These 2 stamps work together, so you can do 2-step stamping, or you can do a... You can do them in 2 different colors, or you can just stamp them all in black and make it a silhouette stamp. So I'm going to stamp the flowers first. Now I'm going to show you 2 different ways to do this. The first way I want to show you is where you kiss color on to the stamp. So this is kissing color on. So I think I'm going to use light and dark carnation. I really like the contrast, the drastic contrast of these colors where you go from the lightest to the darkest for the kissing technique. If you want a more subtle look, you can go light and medium, but let's go light and dark just because I think it's going to pick up on the camera better. So I'm going to start by stamping these flowers with light carnation. Okay, and I'm going to stamp them once. And I'm going to stamp them a second time to get them nice and solid. Might even stamp them a third time. We'll see. I'll stamp them a third time. We'll get them really, really solid. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to pick one of these designs. So let's use this flourishy pattern here because I think this is really pretty and it's going to look really nice. Now, normally the kissing technique, we use an acrylic block, right? And sometimes we do it back to back where we use the acrylic block and we stamp one color and then we kiss onto the other color and then we stamp it all at once. But with the Misty, we can create even a better look with all of this. So I'm going to take a sip of my apple juice over here. Ugh, that is old apple juice. I might be paying for that later. All right, so I'm going to ink this stamp up now with some dark Carnation. Sorry guys, I normally try not to drink when when I'm working. That sounds really funny, right? But sometimes my blood sugar gets a little low and I just have to take a sip, so I apologize if that's offensive. Now remember, you don't want to move this. You want this in the same exact spot and you don't want to move this. So what I'm doing here is I'm inking this up with the dark Carnation and then I'm going to kiss this stamp onto the other stamp. And I'm just going to press that color on there. I want to make sure that I make contact with everything. Okay. And then I'm going to pull that off, and then I'm going to stamp that on top. And look at how pretty that is. Isn't that just a beautiful look? Oh, I love it. I love it so much. So that is kissing on. All right, kissing on. Now we're gonna finish this, and then we're gonna do the kiss off technique. I love the kiss off technique. Saying kiss off is so funny, but there is a technique that I call kiss off, and we're going to do that next. But we're going to finish this technique, the kissing on technique. I think that that's so elegant and beautiful, right? So now we're going to put the second stamp on here, and we can line it up really easily because it, you know, we are using clear stamps, so we can figure it out here. It might take me a second. Let's see. Give me a minute. There we go. I'm getting there. You just got to figure out where it would go together. And that looks pretty good. I know that looks crooked, but it's not crooked. I just stamped the flowers crooked. And so my stem is going to be crooked, but it won't matter because I'm going to cut it out with a die. All right. So now I'm going to pick this up with the door of my Misty, and I'm going to use light spruce, and I'm going to use dark spruce. All right, so I am going to ink this up really well with the light spruce first. All right, and then I'm going to stamp that. Okay, now I'm going to stamp it a second time because that's not dark enough in my opinion. And I might stamp it a third time since I did it with the other one. Why not? I love this color combination together. Isn't that beautiful? And I will tell you that this works a lot easier if you have ink pads rather than ink cubes. So you could do this with any colors. You don't have to use our light, medium, and darks. You can use different combinations. You could do yellow and then do a red for the details. So just pick colors that the light color goes on first and the darker color goes on second. Okay, so now I'm going to clean the stamp, but I'm not moving the stamp and I am not moving this piece of cardstock. Now I didn't clean this, so this is going to be stained a little red, but that's okay.
Do you ever use just the first stamp that's really light and not make it darker?
You mean just use the first color?
Yeah, like you know how you go over it a few times to make it really dark?
You know, I like to stamp it a couple times. It's not really going to change the color. Ultimately, it's going to lighten up to the color that you see here, but it just makes it a little more solid. And that's why I like using the Misty, because it just makes it a little more solid that way.
But if you didn't want to make it solid,
yeah, you could do that if you wanted, sure. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to use the gauzy pattern. That's this pattern here. We're going to put a light gauze pattern into the leaves. So I'm going to use the dark spruce here. I want to use the darkest color. And you know, even be brave. Like try black as your kiss on color. Just be brave. Okay. And now I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to lay this on here, and I'm doing it on an angle like this because it's a big stamp. Okay. And now again, I am lightly putting pressure all over that. I want to make sure that I make contact between the two stamps. All right. Okay. And now I'm going to stamp that. That's my pharmacy calling to tell me my insulin is out of stock, if you heard that buzzing. Okay, look at how cool that is. Look at all that beautiful texture. So you have to try this kissing technique with some of your silhouette stamps. And even if you have a plain silhouette stamp, for example, let's say you wanted to use something like this one. This is a little small, or maybe something like this. But you know, at Gina K Designs, we've got these big silhouette stamps. It still looks really cool if you did the whole thing in like turquoise and then teal. It doesn't have to be realistic colors where the flowers are pink and the leaves are green. It looks beautiful if you did the flowers in purple and then that you know, texture technique on top in black. It looks really cool together. Okay, so now I'm going to take this off. It does make a huge difference, doesn't it? Love that. So I'll take a good high quality photo of that and you'll be able to see. Maybe I'll use these two together, or maybe I'll use these two together. We'll see.
Sue wants to know, you don't have to huff on your stamp when you do this technique?
No, you don't. As long as you're operating at a relatively quick speed the way I am, you don't have to. Now, the old way of doing kissing, we did recommend that you huff on it because we were doing it with an acrylic block. And I'll show you the old way that we used to do it. And it might be a way that you love to do it, and you could try it. Let me use the back of this. Okay, the old way that we used to do it is we would take a stamp like this, and we would put it onto an acrylic block. Let me use a bigger stamp. I want to use something really bigger. I'll use this from the Flowing Florals. But again, it doesn't matter, you know, what kind of stamp you use. So I just want to do it a little bit bigger so you can see it. Okay. So the reason why we would huff on it is because there would be like a chance that part of it would dry out in between. With the Misty, we don't have to do that anymore because we can stamp the first color, right? And then we can stamp the second color, and we don't have to worry about that first color drying in between. But the way we used to do it is we would take the light color and we would stamp it onto our stamp. I'm going to leave it there for a second. And then we would take the dark color. So this is powder blue. This is in the navy. And we would ink up the kissing stamp. And then the reason why it's called kissing is because we would take this stamp. Then we would take this stamp and kiss it onto this stamp, right? And then that lighter blue may have dried a little bit. So then we would huff. Can you show my face, Tom? We would huff and go with our breath to moisten that and then stamp it. And then you could see this cool pattern in here. Can you see that? You'd be stamping both patterns together. So that's where the term kissing took place, because you would actually take one stamp, kiss it to the other stamp, and then stamp it. Okay? So that's a cool technique. That's really fun to do. But with the Misty, we can like stamp that lighter color. I'm No, I wasn't kissing Tom. I was just making the sound effect, you know, just for effect in there. Okay, so now I want to show you the kissing off technique. Kissing off is a very fun technique to do, and we can do that with this stamp, or we can do it with the other stamp, but let's just do it with this stamp. So I've cleaned this really well, right? There's no ink left on here, and I'm cleaning this really well. So now we're going to do the kiss off technique with a dark color. So we would start with In the Navy, for example, okay? And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to move this because I don't think we're going to need to do that anymore because I already have my design that I want to use for my quick card. What we would do, look at my hands. Yeah, my tiny tails need to be washed, but you know what? We're getting inky and it's fun. So we would stamp this with a dark ink, nice dark ink. And then before we stamp it onto the paper, we're not going to add another color. We're going to take color off by kissing off. So we're going to stamp this onto this pattern to remove that ink. And now we're going to stamp it and check that out. Now let me get a close-up for you here, and then I really got to wash my hands. Can you see you get all that light color design in there? So we've kissed color off. We've pulled color off. Here, kiss off. Kiss on, we've used a light color and then kissed a darker color on. So that is the kiss off and kiss on technique. They're the two things that you can do with kissing. I'm actually going to use a little rubbing alcohol here and see if I can clean myself up. It's getting worse. But those are some really fun techniques to try with your background stamps. You can do that with any style background stamp. Let's do it with that sweater just to see what it looks like with a really vibrant, I'm just not going to worry about it, with a really big pattern. Like these are very delicate patterns, which are really fun. I'm going to get a different tidy towel too. They're really fun, the delicate patterns, but let's try it with the more bold pattern, like this sweater weather one. Am I saying that right, Brianne? It's called sweater weather, right? Again, I don't know the names of my stamps. I design stamps, but the naming of them happens at the last minute, and most of the time I don't even know what I said. Okay, so now let's do it with something bolder that you're going to be able to see. So I'm going to start again with the powder blue. I'm just going to leave that stamp on there. And then I've got my In the Navy ready to go. So I'm going to ink this up really well with powder blue. We've got it nice and solid. I'm going to leave it there. And then I'm going to ink this up with In the Navy. Okay. Ink that up with powder blue. And then I'm going to kiss on, and then I'm going to stamp. You're going to really be able to see the boldness of that pattern. See that? That's a nice bold pattern, a really good one for this technique. Now, I've got some down here that I haven't inked. If I switch that up for the kiss off technique, that's kissing on. The kiss off technique, I love saying that. I'm just saying it because I can. I'm going to use the In the Navy. So I got it nice and dark on there. And then I'm going to kiss color off over here. Get rid of that color in the pattern. And now I will stamp that. And look at that. So it's so fun. It just takes your silhouette stamps up a notch. And when you have, you know, do pink and black together. Do yellow and bright red together. Try all of these different fun combinations. And the more dramatic and farther apart the colors are, the more dramatic and beautiful the technique is going to look. Oh, my word. I'm just going to stop right there. Good enough. But I will share this picture I'll take a picture of this so you can see all this design up close. And then I will also, well, you don't really need to see that. You know how to do that. I'll take a picture of this card that I'm going to put together right now for you. I'll take an up-close picture of that too, and you'll be able to see that pattern because I'm super jazzed about this pattern. I think that's so pretty, and these flowers are just perfect for that pattern. So let's do a little bit of die cutting here. I'm going to use all Master Layouts 2 for this. So I think I'm going to be able to cut this out with Master Layouts 2, but let's see. Yeah, I think that'll look good. I'll be able to cut that out with Master Layouts 2. So I literally have ink everywhere, but isn't that kind of fun? Isn't that what we live for, to get inky everywhere? It's just, I don't want to ruin my design, so I'm just cleaning up a little here. All right, now I'm going to get my die cutting machine, and I think I'm going to have to back out a little bit because I am kind of close because I wanted you to be able to see everything close. So let's just back out a bit. I can't tell if that backed out. There's nothing to see. There we go. All right, we'll back out a little bit there. And then I am going to die cut. Oh yeah, you got to try the different color combinations too. I mean, you have to try like purples, and you have to try, you know, bright, vibrant colors. There's so many different ways that you can do it. All right, so there, I am going to, I think this flower is one of my new favorites. Because remember, you can stamp that in black, and that would look gorgeous over an ink blended rainbow or beautiful ink blended circle or oval. You know, lots of different ways that you can use it. But I love that it's a two-step silhouette so that we can get that gorgeous two-tone look. All right, so here we go. We're gonna send that through. I know I've resigned myself to the fact that I'm just gonna look like this for the next couple of days, but that's all right. Inky fingers are happy fingers. Okay, so I've cut that out with Master Layouts 2. I think that's a perfect die for that. It's the perfect size. And then I'm going to cut a black panel out of Master Layouts 2 as well, but I'm going to use the other die that's in there, the plain rectangle. That one had the stitch. This is the plain. There we go. And Tom and I decided we're just going to go live at our regular time next Tuesday night. And, you know, anybody who wants to join us, needs a break from the news or whatever's going on, you could join us. And if not, you can always catch the replay because we all know we're going to find out what's going on no matter what. So we're just going to go our regular time. Too many people sent me messages saying, please, please, please go at the regular time. I need a distraction. So we're going to do it. Okay. So this layer is going to work perfectly with this layer. Oh, I love that. I love the black with the pink. It's so pretty together. And then this one I'm going to cut with the plain the stitched Master Layouts. And what's nice about this is, you know, this is a very symmetrical design, right? So by stamping the whole thing and then lining it up later to cut it is better than cutting it first and then trying to nail it at the right spot on the stamp, you know? Just do a bigger piece and then it'll be a lot easier for you to cut it straight. Aw, thanks guys. Well, I am very excited to be able to provide a little relief. And it's not like we're not all going to find out the results of the election, but we don't need to be too glued. Okay, so there's that great background stamp, that sweater. Did Brianne ever answer? Is it called sweater weather? Did anybody answer? I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Okay. And then I'm going to use a black piece for the plain rectangle die. So we're really using a lot of Master Layouts 2 here, which is awesome. Okay. Thank you. Yes. I think we got a yes. Okay. And then, of course, we've got all of our international friends who we absolutely love and adore. And although I'm sure they're interested, I'm sure that it's, you know, they still want to craft. And
I think it's close knit.
close knit. Close knit. Thank you. Okay, it's not sweater weather. Sweater weather is something else. It's close knit. Thank you. Thank you, guys. My goodness. I do not know the names. All right, so you can see that's going to look really nice together. And I love that fabric. And even one of the things I love about this background stamp is it doesn't have to be a winter stamp. It can be for any time of the year because, you know, in the summer, when you go into an air-conditioned movie theater or restaurant, you take your sweater, right? You put your light sweater on. So I think that that is just fine. Now let me find something else here. Where is my box of things? Here we go. Okay. So earlier for our release, I cut a bunch of different little of our incentive set, like Get Well Soons, and I foiled them, Grateful for You. So, and I did them in black too. So I think I might use a black Happy Birthday on that. I think that's really pretty. And this is from our incentive set this month. That incentive set is called Elegant Thoughts. I do know that. And I think that's going to work perfectly for this card. So let's zoom back in. Yeah, we do have a sweater weather stamp set. I know that. And but this one is close knit, this background. I'm sure people were like, thank God Brianne's here because I'll have everybody a mess. And then I really like Innocent Pink with this. I think that would be a really pretty cardstock color, but I will show you Dusty Rose because that might be another one that would be pretty. I don't know. I think that's too dark. It plays up nicely on this, but I feel like it's too much, you know? And it's not exactly the same. I feel like the Carnations with Innocent Pink looks really good. So let's do that combination. Let me cut this real quick. We could use Christmas Pine too. Christmas Pine is a great green that looks really nice with our spruces. But I feel like I want this card to be just a little bit more frilly, so I'm using the pink. So I'm gonna, and I have enough green on my hands, so I'm kind of sick of the green. I'm going at 5.5 here, so we're making this a top fold tent style card. And again, this wasn't really about the card, this was about the techniques, but I still think the card will be cute. So let's layer these two panels together. Anybody that's just tuning in is going to think like I fell into my ink. I'm quite a mess. But hopefully these tips and tricks helped. And then I want to show you one more thing that you can do with a background stamp, okay? It's going to be my last little tip, so don't go away because this is, you're going to like this one. I discovered it while I was teaching that class and I thought that it was fun. So here we go. Let's lay this on here. And then, that looks straight? Straight enough. Better than horrible. And we'll layer these two panels together. And then I think I'm going to pop this up, this panel. I think I'll pop it up with just some 1/2-inch foam squares. I did get a new pack finally. Finally got a new pack of 1/2-inch foam squares because I was out and I was making the little ones work, but I like both sizes. So we'll do the 4 corners and then we'll do the middle. So yeah, the kissing technique, the way to put the backgrounds, the way to get a good solid background stamp, and my last technique I think you're going to like. Okay. I think that could go up a little higher. I'm kind of judging it by how many rows of little sweatery hearts that I see top and bottom, and I felt like that was a little low. So that looks pretty good. Okay. Now this, I'm just going to have it hang over the edge a little bit. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to put foam squares, small ones, over on the Y and the end of the day. The Y and the A. There we go. Like that. And then that will help support that, and I'll tape this right onto the card there. Am I too close for my people watching on a 72-inch big screen? Is it too much? Too much me? Get my tweezer, pull out my inner Mindy Egan. Okay, there we go. Just butt it right up against there. I think that's a good spot. There we go. Okay, and then I'll add just a couple little disco ball with everything else that's in there. I feel like disco ball is nice because it will add the sparkle, but it won't, you know, it doesn't distract too much. It's just a little sparkle. We'll just put a couple of those in here. We'll just do 3 for now because I do want to show you this very last little technique. All right, so we'll do some babies. Do a tiny one there. There we go. And this one's just a little bigger. I used both the micro disco ball and the regular disco ball, and all of our embellishments have been reordered, and we did listen to you that you wanted just the tiny pearls in the metallic mix, so we are adding that to our line, so that's coming as well. Okay, so that gives me just a little bit of sparkle and shine in there, and there is that finished card. So this is just a silly little technique I want to show you that I think you're gonna like. Boy, I really should clean this. Let me see if I have another clean, tidy towel under here because this is so inky, but I want to use this one. So if you have a big background stamp like this, let's make sure that we get everything dry. I know it's stained. I'll take it to the sink and clean it really well. But if you have a big background stamp like this, and you take off this index sheet, I know it's ugly right now because it's not clean, but if you put this down onto your work top here, I want to show you something that you can do that's really fun. Let me get a piece of cardstock. Give me 1 second because I used up all my little pieces here that I wanted to do. Okay. So you can use this as a sticky mat. I know, right? Let me find a stencil. I'll just find any stencil here. Sorry, there's a stencil. So you can put your stencil on top and press that stencil down onto the background stamp. Okay? And now you've got a little grip mat. All right, little grip mat, not a big grip mat. So for those of you that want the big grip mats, or you want, and you should get a grip mat. They're great. I know they are. But, you know, this is a way to have a little grip mat when you don't have one. Maybe you're traveling and you don't want to take everything. So you have 2 background stamps with you. You can use that as a grip mat. There you go, right? And then you just want to gently peel that off, very much like a gel plate. So that's my last little technique that I thought some of you might like, because maybe you're trying to decide if you even want a grip mat. Try one of your background stamps and see if that works for you as a grip mat. And then if you like the idea, then go get a grip mat because you'll like it and you know you're going to use it. Maybe for you, you know, budget restraints, you want background stamps and a grip mat. Well, find your favorite background stamps and use them as a grip mat. So that's just a little cheeky technique that I thought you might like. All right, everybody. Well, Tom, we need a word of the day from you. First, we need a word of the day while I clean this up. So here he comes.
Word o' the day.
Yeah.
Okay, so wow, what an inky day this was.
I know.
Inky day.
I am a mess.
And you did use the word, word pigments quite a bit. That's the colors, right?
The pigments are the colors, yeah.
Yeah. And boy, it's an important concept in what you're doing. But I bet a whole lot that you didn't know that there was a popular brand of rainbow-colored breath fresheners specifically made for farm animals. And they are, of course, called pigments.
That's very good. My goodness.
Believe it or not, pigments, the word of the day, should be an S on there because they're very popular.
I could use a pigment in the morning after my coffee and my very big breakfast. That's great. I love it, Tom. That's so cute.
Back.
No, don't leave. Don't leave. No dead space because we got to give away a gift card.
Okay.
So you don't get to leave.
Okay.
Move that out of the pigment way there.
All right, so we need a drum roll, please.
Yeah.
Whoops, we got too much going on here. All right, timpani roll. Fancy. Notice our upgrade in the drum roll? Okay.
I can't hear.
All right, so the winner is Lynn Mann. Lynn Mann!
Yay, Lynn! Congratulations! You win a $15 Gina K Designs gift card. All you have to do is send your name and email address to info@ginakdesigns.com and we will get that out to you. All right, well, if you would love to join our Facebook group, we would love to have you. You can find us on Facebook by searching Gina K Designs and Stamp TV Friends. Come and join 47,000 other Gina K Designs friends. We are just loaded with inspiration and encouragement over there. And then if you see anything you like today and you missed one of Brianne's amazing links, you can check us out at ginakdesigns.com. And then if you like this video, and we sure hope that you have, we would love it if you would give us a thumbs up. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss another video. A huge shout out to Brianne Loveland for linking everything for us and making it easy for everybody to find what they want. And a huge shout out to all of you for joining us because, gosh, without you, we're nothing. We're just here talking to the air and or each other, which we talk to each other enough. We love spending time with you. All right, Tom and I will be back at our regularly scheduled time next Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Time with another Stamp and Chat Live. And in the meantime, everybody, please stay safe and healthy. We love you all so very much. And we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.